We are going to do our Friday morning coffee chat and Q&A. This is your chance to ask any questions at all about learning to paint or about becoming a full-time working artist. And it's your time. I'm here to help you. So think about what questions you may have and how I can best help you guys improve your painting and improve your art career if that's what you want to do. So good morning, John. Good morning, Colin in Dapto. Good to see you again, mate. Lekar in Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome. Good to see you. Yes, here I am, Miriam. I was just momentarily hiding. So this is our Friday morning coffee session, and it's our opportunity to have a chat and to answer any questions that you have. And hopefully we're coming through on YouTube. Those of you on YouTube, good morning. Maybe you can just type into the chat there whether it's coming through okay or not. And then we can get underway. So I hope you've all got questions for me. I've got a few things I want to just chat to you about. But I was just chatting with Miriam prior to this call, and we were talking about how most artists aren't that well versed in the business side of art and how they really don't know what to do in terms of building a business around their art. So we'll chat a bit about that today, and hopefully I can give those of you who are interested in that side of it, whether that's become a full-time artist or even a part-time artist, give you some insight into that side of things. So we'll talk about that as well. G'day, Gabrielle. How are you? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So we'll talk about that. Now, you may recall if you joined us on Wednesday morning, we did a little study on paper. Actually, this is quite good paper. This is an acrylic, not acrylic, it's a mixed media paper, and it's a very nice thick paper. Obviously I had to throw it all about around the place. I had it taped up on the board, and it came up okay. I've had a look at the little shadow. It's a nice texture and details in there, but really it was just it was a study, and I was talking about the fact that I'm doing a larger body of work, putting that together, and this was going to be a study for that, right? So behind me is the larger version of it. Now, I can't get it all on screen. Let me see if I can just zoom out for you. And there we go. So this is a bigger painting. This is 30 by 40 inches, or for the metric people, that is 76 centimeters by 1 meter. So it's a bigger version of this. Now, I haven't finished that. I only started it yesterday. Still got a fair bit to go. But, I've used this little study reference as the reference for this larger painting. Now, there's a few things about this I don't like, but I've been playing around with mixed media. I've been using the acrylic pastel, the pastel oils, I don't know what the hell they're called. And I've been using different mark making techniques in there and just really experimenting, to be honest, with that painting. And I think it's coming along okay. And there's a few things I don't like. There's a few things I'm going to change. There's still a lot of work to do on it. But I'm painting it because I'm a member of, there's an art gallery up here called the Butter Factory in Cooroy. It's just down the road. And I'm a member of there, one of the friends of the Butter Factory. It's a group of artists associated with the gallery there. And they've got an exhibition coming up over the Christmas break. And you have to have your submissions in by the 1st of November. And I got the reminder email yesterday, and I thought, oh, crap, I haven't thought about it yet. So I went out and bought a bigger canvas and started painting it based off this study with a view to getting it finished in time to enter it into the exhibition. But the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I learned a valuable lesson last year, right? So last year, I'm also a member of the Friends of the Noosa Regional Gallery, which is the big gallery here in Noosa. And once a year they hold an exhibition for all their artists. And I entered it last year with a painting which was Noosa Trail Sunset, right? And I made a mistake because that's a bigger gallery than I'm used to being in. There was like 60 artists who had work in there, and the walls were bigger. It was more vast, right? And my painting that I thought was a reasonable size painting actually turned out to be one of the smaller ones, and it got lost in amongst these bigger paintings. The other thing I noticed when I was walking around on the opening night, I noticed that the colours, certain colours popped off the wall and other colours didn't, right? So my colours were fairly dark and moody. If you remember that painting, you'll find it on my Rodmore Art website if you want to have a look at that. But the colour scheme that I used was fairly dark and moody, and it sort of sunk back into the exhibition, you know, like just with what was around it. So I made a mental note. I said, okay, two things. If I'm ever going to go on a big group show like that again, which is what I'm about to do, I'm going to do two things, right? One is I'm going to paint bigger. So this is bigger than what I'd normally do, right? I'm going to paint a bigger painting. Why am I going to paint a bigger painting? Because I've got a theory that when all the artists turn up with their artwork, right, the people who hang the show are going to put the big paintings up first and then the small paintings around them. So small paintings, I suspect, always end up in not the best locations. So I've gone for a bigger painting, right? That's the first thing. I want to make sure when they look at all the paintings and they're going to go and hang them, that they pick out the bigger ones and put those up first. Now, this is just a theory, but we'll see, right? We'll see. Because there'd be no point putting all the small ones up first and then trying to fit the big ones around those. Logic says, right? So that's my first theory. And my other theory, right? You can tell I think deeply about these things. Too many restless nights. But my other theory is that the colours need to jump off the wall, right? Colours need to jump off the wall. And that's why I've gone for really warm, punchy colours like this, right? And I've gone for reddy orange overall colour scheme and the complement being blue. So I'm going to test two theories as long as I get this finished for submissions before the 1st of November. That's the most important thing. But two theories, you know, big paintings will get the better locations in a group show, and colours that jump off the wall are going to get more attention, is the two theories I'm operating on. Now, leave a comment and let me know whether that makes sense and whether you think I'm on the right track, because I don't know for certain, but I like experimenting with these things, right? So leave a yes if you reckon I'm on the right track, or a no if you think I'm just deluding myself. All right. Where are we up to? G'day, Marg. How are you? Gabrielle, I think I already said hi to you, Gabrielle, but hello again. Morning, Heather. How are you? Carol in New Zealand, welcome. Miriam says, really nice. I love the expressive brushwork. Thank you very much. Actually, there's a fair bit of palette knife. I don't know, maybe you're referring to this one, but there's a fair bit of palette knife in there. But yeah, we had a bit of fun doing that live stream. Or I did. Hope everyone else did. But thank you, Miriam. Carol, very nice. Thank you, Carol. G'day, Colin. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy with the way it's going. I kind of wish I could show you some of the close-up stuff on this. Maybe the best way for me to do that is to, I don't know whether that's going to be too close up. The lighting's going to affect it, but you know, I've used pastel and lots of, it's been washed out by the lights, unfortunately, but you can see different mark making in here. Now, as I said, I've still got a fair bit of work to go with it. I don't know that I'm happy with it yet. But when our artists are happy with it, with their work. Put it over there. Not sure whether that was such a smart move. So yeah, they're my theories. Am I on the right track? I don't know. Carol says she loves the reflections. Thank you, Carol. John says, indeed they do. Seen it at a friend's gallery in Taipei with reference to your theories. Thank you, John. I'm take confidence from your recommendation there. G'day, Gladys. How are you? Welcome. And R. Taylor in Pennsylvania, USA. Welcome. Good morning, Gwen in Myrtle Beach. SC. What would that be? South Carolina, maybe? Welcome. Jimmy Rogers, g'day, in Auckland, welcome back. Gladys, it's not acrylic paper as such. I'll show you what it is. It is, oh actually, I stand corrected. I thought I'd bought multimedia paper, but no, it's acrylic paper. Comes in a pad there, 360 GSM. That's why it's quite thick. It's good quality paper. So it is acrylic paper. Who knew? I thought I'd bought mixed media paper. Maybe I should pay more attention next time, hey? So yeah, I really enjoy painting on it. It's held up really well, really well. I'll definitely be buying more of that. G'day, Karen Roberts from GA. GA. Now, where would that be? Is that Georgia? Maybe. Definitely in the US. So welcome. And good morning. How are you? My theory sounds good. Well, we'll see, I guess. We'll see how it pans out. Gladys says I'm on the right track. Thank you. Jimmy, you are definitely on track. Awesome. So getting lots of positive affirmation. I'm not just kidding myself. Glad to hear it. All right. Now. Give me 2 seconds. So, I'm going to turn it over to you guys and get you to ask any questions. Actually, while you think of questions and start typing them in, I do have one other thing that I will mention. And I started out saying just before that I was chatting with Miriam about how artists aren't really that good at the business side of art. And it's because we're not trained to be, we just don't think that way, generally speaking. And I guess I have a little bit of an advantage because I've been a business consultant and marketing consultant previously before becoming an artist, right? Which really was a creative pursuit in itself, but it gave me a bit of an advantage in terms of having some ideas, not all the ideas, of what to do to build an income and build a business around art. So it's something I feel very passionate about sharing with other artists if that's what they want to hear about. So I'll tell you a little bit about how I'm all right, hopefully I'm back on YouTube. I'm back, yay! But I'm not back on Facebook yet, so just bear with me for a second. Should be back in a moment on Facebook. All right. Am I still here on Facebook? Let me know. If I am, we had a system malfunction. Facebook, good. Good. Glad you guys all hung around. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. But anyway, we're back. So hopefully that gave you a bit of a pause to think about what questions you want to ask me, right? But what I was saying was that artists aren't generally good at business side of things. So I have had the good fortune of having a bit of a business background and thinking about business models and so on, and recognizing that the art world's changing and we're about to enter into a period of probably the greatest change in history for the art world, I believe, with virtual reality, artificial intelligence, robotics, all that type of thing is going to shake up every industry, including the art world. And so I think we're in for a lot of change. And if you don't have the right business model as an artist, then you're going to suffer. You know, in the same way that those artists who used to sell well in the 80s, when there were lots of galleries and people would go out and buy traditional art, they used to do well in the 80s. But by the 90s, what's going on here today? Sorry, folks. We seem to be having some technical difficulties. So that is disappointing. But I think it's going to be working intermittently, I think. I do apologise. I'm not entirely sure whether it's an internet issue or what the issue is, but I'll just push on for the time being. And so there we go. So anyway, yes, I'm going to start a newsletter. And the newsletter is going to be once a month. It's going to be sharing different concepts on building an art career. And with that, I'll do, a webinar and so on once a month as well. You could be right, John. It seems to drop out on a Friday a bit too much. So anyway, we'll push on. Miriam says technology is amazing and the worst. Yes, I agree. Colin's asking what is referred to as an accent color. That's a really good question, Colin. Let me get the color wheel here. My trusty little color wheel. Everyone should have a color wheel in their studio. Not that I ever look at it, but you should have one because that means you're a real artist, right? But no, it's a valid question that Colin's asked. What do I mean by an accent color? So if we have a look at our color wheel here, and if I put the red at the top, that'll help me, right? So we've got 3 primary colors on the color wheel. Red, yellow, and blue. Okay, red, yellow, and blue. There are 3 primary colors. And in order to create a painting that has color harmony, you want to stick between 2 primary colors. So you want to stick between 2 of the primary colors and the secondary color in between, which is the orange, right? So that's the range of color that want to dominate your painting. Now, I'm traditionally a landscape painter. So what that means is I tend to spend a lot of time with my paintings between blue and yellow, right? As a landscape painter or a seascape painter. Most of my painting color scheme is somewhere between blue and yellow. It takes up 80% of the painting, right? Blue skies, green grass, yellow warmed up grasses. It's going to sit somewhere in here. So if you have a look at this painting, it's pretty obvious that the predominant color scheme is sitting up in here, isn't it? Between these 2 primaries, red and yellow, right? Oranges, yellows, earthy tones. So the accent color is the opposite or it's the 3rd primary. It's the primary that's missing, right? Is the blue. And that's why I like this color scheme of this style of painting, is because it's like, I probably haven't got 80%, I maybe have 70% of the painting is in that part of the color wheel there. But then our blue comes in up here in the sky and it just creates an accent. But really what I should have is some blue in here as well, yeah? To make it really be a true accent color. If you're painting landscape and you're painting in the blue through to yellow range of the color wheel, right? Your accent color is going to be your red, right? So it's usually opposite of the secondary color. Secondary color of blue and yellow is green, so it's the red, right? So that's what we call an accent color. And so if you think about your painting as trying to stick with between 2 primaries and all the colors in between, secondaries and tertiaries, and the accent color being that red. So if you're doing a landscape, blue to yellow there with all the greens, make sure you get a little bit of red in there somewhere because that color really pops out. And that's what I refer to as an accent color. So I hope that helps. I hope that's an explanation that makes sense. But yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. In fact, I might do one of our art studio chats about that, and I'll maybe demonstrate it a bit clearer. So the one thing you don't want to do is try and do a painting that has everything on it, because there won't be any color harmony in doing that, right? Unless you're an abstract artist. But even abstract artists, like I've been looking at a lot of abstract work lately, and even good abstract artists, they stick within a color scheme, right? There's a harmony there, isn't there? Right, and there's a little bit of red in there accenting that, but 90% of that painting, look at this, color harmony, So if you have a look at that painting there, this is Elizabeth Cummings, a great Australian abstract artist. I know the light's affecting it, but which part of the color wheel is she in here, right? She's red through to blue, which means green would be an accent color, and there it is there. Pardon me, green, muted greens to be fair. So even abstract artists are maybe intuitively or maybe by design. Look at that, it's very tight colour scheme there, isn't it? Between red and yellow, right? But the colours are quite muted. She's greyed those off. So keep that in mind, that's something that will help you to really create harmony in your paintings and will make for a much better, more cohesive painting, which has something that really makes it pop in it, being the accent colour. So good question. I like questions like that. Thank you, Colin, and hope that is of help for everyone. Thank you, C. Wellwood. Hope that helps. I'll do a video on it because I think it's a really important concept, because I naturally I do landscapes. I naturally tend to be caught up within the blue to yellow range. It's where most of my painting has been, which is why I kind of like doing some more earthy reds and orange colours, right? For a bit of a change. But I might do a video where I explain that concept in a bit more detail as one of our art studio chats. And hopefully that'll help you guys all really focus in on your painting as well. So I know this has been a bit disjointed today, and I apologise for that. But I'm going to launch in November this monthly membership for those who are interested in developing an art business or an art career. I don't think there's ever been a better time in history to do that, but you have to have the right strategy and the right business model. The old model of doing a painting, right? Today I'm going to do a painting. I'm an artist, so I get in the studio and I do a painting, and then I make it available for sale, right? So in the 80s, what that would mean is you'd be in a gallery and you'd take your paintings down once a month to the gallery, and they'd pop them on the wall, and people would come and buy them, right? If you're a good enough artist, and the gallery was good enough. But that model isn't a sustainable model in this era. Now, I know there are artists who still make their living with that old model, right? But they're probably the incumbent artists who have been around for years doing that. So the galleries have a relationship with them. But for somebody like me to break into that model is not viable. There's far less galleries, there's more artists than ever before, right? So we have to use new thinking and a new approach. And here's the problem I have with the traditional model, is that it doesn't create sustainable and reliable income, because you do a painting today and you sell it tomorrow. What do you have the day after that? Nothing. You're back to square one. You don't build business assets and systems around it. And that's what I want to start sharing, is how do you build business assets and systems, right? And so any artist can do that, but it requires a different way of thinking. And so Miriam and I were talking about that, and I've been showing her a couple of ideas on how to do that. And to her credit, because I've talked about this to a lot of different artists in the past, right? To her credit, she actually did follow some of those ideas, and it's going to pay off for her in the long run, right? So I don't know if you want me to talk any further about that, or you've got other questions related to painting and so on. But far away, what questions do you guys have for me here right now? Because I am here to answer your questions, my friends. I am here to answer your questions. So I don't know if you've all gone to sleep or if I'm still coming through okay. I feel really nervous now about whether this is all working or not. I think I know what the problem is. I might have to play around with it. But hello, studio to people. Rosalie says given. I'm not sure what you meant by that, Rosalie. Still good. Okay, thank you. All right, you're all just contemplating on what I've been saying. So here's a tip for you. If you want to improve your painting and your art career, is to think about doing bodies of work rather than random paintings. Like I know I tend to do a lot of random painting, and by that what I mean is because I do a lot of teaching within the Learn to Paint Academy, I jump around from one subject to the next. But what I'm doing in my own painting practice is developing a body of work around this concept, right? Around this river embankment concept. So building out a body of work around one central theme, I think, is a really good way both to learn better painting, but also to improve your sales as well. Yeah. John says still good. G'day Shaz, how are you? Shaz Shah. Welcome. Darlene says, still here hanging on every word. Aren't you sweet, Darlene? I hope that it's worthwhile for you. Gabrielle, I have one about this painting. Is this available as a video? I love this colour scheme. Now, this painting behind me here is for my own personal work. So please don't copy this larger one. However, we did this one on Wednesday's live stream, which is, basically the same painting, but you can go and watch the live stream and you can recreate that because that's part of the Learn to Paint Academy. But anything that I do as part of my own body of work for my own sales is, please don't copy those. So, but I mean, it's pretty much the same painting anyway. So you can go and look at the video recording of the live stream from Wednesday, Gabrielle, and you can have a go at that one. Absolutely. Hi, Shaz. Miriam, I have a million business questions, but would love your opinion about choosing works for solo exhibition. Best, newest, or most cohesive pieces. I think theme. And I know Miriam's got a exhibition that she's been asked to put together in 1 week's time, right? Which is not a lot of lead time. So therefore, you grab your best pieces and put them together. But with planning, with time to plan, I think you need a theme and build all your paintings that go in the exhibition around a theme. And the other thing I'd recommend with exhibiting, not that I've done a lot of exhibiting, but to me it just makes sense, is that you have prices that suit all budgets, right? Low dollar value and 1 or 2 big pieces that are higher price. So try and cover across a range of different price points. But I definitely, in planning for an exhibition, I think having a theme behind it, I think makes the most sense from a marketing and promotion point of view. Difficult to market, just a collection of paintings. It's far easier to market around a theme and build a story around that the media will pick up on. So fire away with any more of your million business questions. We won't get through all million of them today, Miriam, but we can at least start chipping away at them, right? But that's a good question. Beverly says, when working with the accents, should you use more than 3 tones? Well, it depends on what you mean by more than 3 tones. I mean, the point I was trying to make here is that you work with a range of colours. So predominantly your painting is in that range from one primary to the other on the colour wheel, right? So you can have a whole range of tones in there, but then you've got one accent, which is really your red. Accents against those colours there, right? If you're working in blue to red, your accent's going to be yellow. Okay, so I hope that's clear. But, we're talking about yellow to blue there, right? For landscape painting, you can have a whole lot of different red, blues, greens and yellows. As you can see in here, right? I've got a whole range of different reds and yellows all mixed up together. stuck. So I hope that answers that question, and I've understood your question okay there, Beverly. Rosalie, my demographic makes lessons hard to get people on seats. Do you think YouTube videos may be a better idea? I don't think there's any one thing to do. I think you need to do everything, right? Everyone wants to know the one thing to do that's going to work. And the truth is there is no one thing, you know. You need to do as many things as you can. It takes a lot of momentum to get off the ground. And so, I don't know why I was getting itchy nose on a Friday morning. I think one of the challenges you have, Rosalie, which is perhaps a little bit particular to you, is your geographical region and the population density and distances and so on. But it does take time to build regulars. So if you're going to teach physical workshops, the business is all about building regulars who want to come again and again. So there's strategies around how you develop those regulars, but it just requires doing enough of it before those regulars develop, you know, and there's a number of different strategies. So one of the things we want to look at is where you're holding your classes. If you can find art stores to hold your classes in, that'll help you get more people, which is what I did. I was working out of Art Shed Online in Moorabbin for a long time, and just the presence there helped me get students. But the other thing is you just have to keep building momentum until you get enough people who want to come regularly, right? Now that potentially could take a little bit longer for you, Rosalie, given your geographical region, right? If you're in the city, it'd be quicker. But also that could come down to your teaching style and, you know, developing you as the way you teach and etc. and how you connect with the audience. All of that's got to be learned as well. But just because you're doing that doesn't mean you don't do YouTube videos, right? So in terms of generating income, the best thing an art teacher can do is start filming courses, right? And talk to me about that, because we're opening the Learn to Paint Academy up to other artists. And, you know, the best time to start filming yourself and create courses is today. Right? Don't leave it for another year or two. Start today. But does that mean the very first one you film is going to be good enough to generate an income stream? Probably not. You know, it took me a year of fluffing about. Now, the technology wasn't as good when I started, nearly 8 years ago. We've got better technology now, right? Our mobile phones. I didn't have a mobile phone 8 years ago that could film a course. But it took me a while to learn how to speak to a camera and put together half decent courses. So, you know, start today. And the answer to your question is, would YouTube be better? Who knows? Yeah, you can only find that out by having a go at doing these things. But my advice is to do everything you possibly can think of. But generally, you know, launching any business takes probably more energy and effort and output than what people realize, right? So if you look at what I do on a weekly basis as some insight, I do the Learn to Paint TV. So I do a full painting project, and then I edit that down to make it the edited version for free, right? So I put that up on YouTube and Facebook and learntopaint.tv. I do 2 live streams a week. You know, so it's giving value, putting value out there, connecting with people. I've started doing the podcast. I record courses every week, and I do blog posts and posts into the, you know, so there's a lot of activity, and over time that activity builds momentum. So it doesn't matter if you're just trying to be a selling artist, it still requires that energy output consistently over time to get traction and build momentum. So you just got to get into one of the biggest problems with anything, you know, like we see pop stars or celebrities or great artists who are doing really well, and we see the end result of their success, and we look at them and we think, wow, I'd love to have that lifestyle, right? I'd love to be a successful artist. And people fall in love with the end result. But to be able to get to that end result, you have to fall in love with the process. And the process is the thing that we don't see and what the media doesn't talk about and show us. And that is every day getting up and doing the work, right? It's the work that leads to the result. People fall in love with the result. Everyone wants the result. I want to be a successful artist, but you've got to fall in love with the process, which is the daily doing the work, and doing a lot of it, and building momentum. Most great artists are prolific artists. There's very few artists who do 10 paintings a year and become great. I don't know too many. Can't even remember what question I was answering now. I'm just rambling on. Gabrielle, of course, thank you. Have been offline this week. Yep, go and check out the live stream. Shaz says, love the painting in the background. Thank you, Shaz. That's one I'm working on for an exhibition coming up. John, in terms of the LTPA, which copyright are you working on? Local. In terms of the Learn to Paint Academy, which copyright are you working on? I'm not entirely sure what you mean there, John. Can you elaborate or maybe ask the question in a different way? Because I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that, mate. So please let me know. Heather, are you going to frame the painting for the exhibition? No, I'm not going to frame it for the exhibition because what I started out saying at the beginning of this live stream, and for those who only just joined us, I learnt some lessons by going into the Noosa Regional Gallery exhibition last year. One of the things I did was I had a painting that was only smaller, a lot smaller, and I had a frame around it, and mine was one of the very few that had a frame. So I looked around at all the big, colourful paintings, right? A lot of sort of abstracty contemporary work, and mine was a little bit more traditional, and none of them had frames, right? So this is a gallery wrap canvas rather than a standard wrap, and I'm definitely not going to frame it. No, what I'm doing is I'm modelling what I saw more successful artists doing at that exhibition, and none of them had a frame. So therefore this one is not going to get a frame either. But I probably will paint the edges, which I don't like doing. Really can't stand painting the edges, but I probably will. Miriam, awesome advice. Thank you. Can't remember what it was, but my pleasure. Hope it helps. Beverly, tones of the accent of itself. Yeah, you could, like if you're going to use an accent of say red, yeah, sure, you could change the tone of that here and there, definitely. But I think the tonal range needs to be in the range between the two primaries. That's where you want the range of tone. I wouldn't fiddle too much with the accent colour, yeah. But experiment, try different things. I think it's the real key. Miriam, I don't even know where to start with business questions. All I know about business is how to answer the phone properly. Well, I'll tell you everything you need to know about becoming a business or in the art business, right? The art business requires at a macro level, now obviously there's details, right? But let's chunk up to macro level. So only two things you need to be a successful artist and to build a successful art business. First thing you need to do is to build products and assets. Product and assets, right? Because if you think about it as a business, if you don't have product to sell, you're not going to generate an income. So you need to produce and create product on a regular basis. Now, most artists are okay with that because they'll get to their studio and they'll create paintings, right? But that's where they stop. They only create one type of product. And the problem with this type of product, which is our primary business that we're in, is that when I sell this, I can only ever generate income from it one time. And you need to start thinking about building product and assets. So assets are things that you create once that you generate an income stream again and again and again from. So you turn your art into assets that generate an ongoing income stream. Okay, so first thing an artist needs to do if they want to build a business around their art is to create product and assets, right? So it's the creation side of the business. Second thing you need to do is make the products and assets available to an audience that wants them. That's the sales and marketing. They're the two functions of an art business, right? That's at a macro level. Now, within those, there's a lot of detail, which is going to be difficult for me to get that across in the next 20 minutes. But there's a fair bit of detail in that. You already know how to create product, right? Every one of you on this live stream here today who follow me at Learn to Paint Academy, if you've been through our free introduction course, you know how to create product. And you've seen me in other live streams show you little frames you can put around them and so on. So you know how to do that part. What you probably don't know how to do is how to build assets around the product, and then the sales and marketing side. But you only have to do those two things. Every day you build assets and product, and every day you promote and market it to the right people and make it available for sale, and you make offers to purchase, right? If you get those two things working, then you can build a successful art business. And then you've got to do that consistently and regularly over a sustained period of time, because it takes 3 to 5 years if you're good, 5 to 10 years if you're not as good like I am. Yeah, took me 9 years so far. So that's the type of thing I'm going to talk about in the podcast, which we started a couple of weeks ago, and the new monthly newsletter, which is going to be called Artist Prosperity, because one of the things I really dislike about the art world is this negative mindset that art doesn't sell and I don't make any money and I'm a starving artist and woe is me, maybe I can go to the government and get a grant, right? No, we don't want to do that. We want to be prosperous artists. So the new newsletter is going to be called Artist Prosperity. Look out for it. I'll be releasing it soon, or kicking it off soon. John says, good start and all the best for your expo. Very good. What are the best basic tools to purchase to start filming? Your mobile phone and a tripod. And you need some editing software. They'd be the best things. So the video camera in your mobile phone is good enough to start filming. And remember, when I started out, I had this big backboard and I had my palette here and my canvas there, right? That's how I started, with a mobile phone. So that's all you need to get started. You can add other things to it once you get going, but start there. Anne says, regarding the testimonials, I did, but it's not sending. Yeah, the site is safe, 100%, so don't worry about that. But I think the problem is uploading of the photos. So, and if you go and add your testimonial in there, and anyone else who tried, add your testimonial and send it through without the photos, and just email me the photos at rod@moreartschool.com. Then it should work, no problems doing that. But I appreciate you having tried, Anne. Anne says, I'm exhausted, Rod. You work very hard and we do appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, look, let's be real. You know, if you want to have a successful art business, or just be a great artist, it is hard work. There's no easy road. It's hard work, and that's why I say you got to fall in love with the process, right? The doing of it every day. You got to fall in love with that part of it, not the glittery, media spotlight success side of it. Yeah. Carol also had problems. So Carol, I appreciate you trying. Try it without the photos, and email me the photos. I think that will be the best workaround. Yeah, that'd be great. Colin's saying these Q&A sessions are so informative. That's great, Colin. I appreciate that. Okay. C. Wellwood over on YouTube is asking, in a landscape, someone commented that I had too many things in my painting. Yeah, I was having a conversation with Miriam earlier. We were talking about her figurative work, right? So one of the things is you need to have a focal point in your landscape, a focal point. And the focal point needs to have more detail, be more in focus than everything else in a landscape. So it's very easy to paint a landscape in such a way where everything has equal share, if you like. So there's no real subject. So we're talking about Miriam's figurative work, where she brings a figure into focus and she sort of defocuses the landscape around it. So yeah, you've got to look for C. Wellwood. I feel kind of funny calling you C. Wellwood, Mr. or Mrs. Wellwood. Look for a focal point that gets the most attention, the most details, the most saturation of the paint and harder edges and so on. And everything else you want to defocus and drop back. And that'll make your landscapes pop a lot better, yeah? Well, there you go, Karen. I've just answered her, C. Wellwood's question. So, Carolyn Wellwood. Welcome, Carolyn. Hope that answer helped you out there. All right, where are we up to? Beverly says, enjoy the journey and party when you get there. Yeah, definitely. Miriam, I love doing the work of painting. Doing the work of business is my challenge, but I'm motivated now. Yeah, it is a challenge for artists, and but it's everything can be learnt, so you can learn it all, right? Karen Roberts is saying, Grandma Moses had a boatload of subjects in her landscapes and did great. Well, there you go. So don't listen to everything I say. If she did well with that approach, then give that a try as well. All right. Rosalie, thanks Rod, that is helpful. Appreciate your input. I'm lucky to have a few regulars. Yeah, well, and they take time to build up the regulars, you know. I think it possibly took me 9 months to a year to get to a point where 90% of my art classes sold out with regulars. But you know, one of the strategies that I used to do that was every class I ran, I would make an offer to the people in the room to book into the next 4 classes, and I gave them a discount for doing so, right? So that created regulars, and then they started to come regularly and they'd rebook more after that. Gabrielle, I thought I was the only person who struggled painting the edges. Yeah, I'd never liked painting the edges of a canvas. Jean's saying she loves this painting. I think you're referring to this one. Thank you. I appreciate that. Seawell would say, I'd like to see an example of a focused landscape. All right, we'll just hold on for 1 second there. And I'll find one for you. It was a painting I did of Lennox heads, and the focal point is this part of the headland here. So I've got most of the highlight there, most of the detail there, by comparison with the headland at the back, which is defocused without any details and without the same strength of the highlights. So that's what I mean. Like this part of the headland here fits right on the 1/3 mark, right? So that's really the focal point of the painting. If everything was done with the same level of highlight and saturation all the way over the painting, it just wouldn't work as well. So that's what I mean. That's an example of it. So I hope that helps, Carolyn. All right, where are we up to? Hello Sue, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Glad you're enjoying it. John says, okay, the projects we can present as MCIs, under which copyright do they fall? My concern over here is someone filming and then presenting that over here. So I need to confirm with the method as well as the projects. I understand the copyright laws as an artist. Unfortunately, there are people here who do not. Still not quite. You're worried about somebody ripping off your videos? I'm not entirely sure. As one of our more certified instructors, you have the right to take any of our courses and projects within Learn to Paint Academy and teach them, right? In workshops and so on. Which I think you're pretty clear about that. Now, as we grow the Learn to Paint Academy, I'm going to be bringing in other artists with other courses. So that's obviously not going to be part of the MCI program. Like I'm about to launch some art classes for kids with another artist. I didn't create any of the content, so she owns the copyright to those. I'm just licensing that content, so it's not part of the MCI program. So I think you're worried potentially about if you go and do one of our MCI projects and somebody rips that off, you know, like I just don't think it's even worth worrying about unless it happens, to be honest. I've had my courses ripped off a few times and appear on other sites online. people trying to sell them after they've copied them, which is why I don't make them downloadable. And but they never get anywhere because people buy from the person, not from random websites that have ripped it off. I wouldn't worry myself about it too much, John, unless you're meaning something else. If so, maybe touch base with me on that. Whoop. Gabrielle loves the artist prosperity. That's good. I do too. I think we've got to develop a prosperous mindset as artists. John, any business is hard work in the beginning. Even in the end, it's hard work, John. I don't know at which point it gets easier. Like I still work, well, I work harder now than when I started. But I enjoy the process. So is it work? You know, I don't know. It's better than going to a job. I'd tell you that much for sure. But yeah, perhaps you do get to a point where you get leverage in a business and you don't have to work as hard. But I kind of feel like I don't mind working hard because I enjoy it. Yes, Gabrielle, fall in love with the process. And followed your advice on marketing. I just completed my first 10 Christmas themed cards this week. Well done. And sold 4 of them yesterday. That's fantastic. Well done. Good on you, Anne. Great news. Miriam, when I paint the edges, which I don't love, I wrap the subject after the fact. It's a mess and I'm covered in paint, but I think it looks better than a solid colour. When I paint the edges... I'm not sure what you mean there, Miriam. Do you mean you come back and paint the edges later on? Or it's difficult with oils because you can't really paint all 4 edges with oils. You have to paint some and then let it dry. Thank you, Colin. I kind of like that painting as well. I'm sort of just sitting with this one for the moment because there's a few things in here I don't like, and I'm thinking of actually pulling this foreground back to about there and extending the water. There's a couple of little things in there which I'm thinking about tweaking. Don't know. I sometimes look at paintings and think, oh yeah, I like that. And then I look at it the next day and go, nah. Artist curse. G'day, Julie Chadwick. How are you? Good to see you. Excuse me for 1 second. Get out of there. Sorry about that. Damn crows coming and trying to steal my garden and steal stuff. I don't know. They must be making nests, but they're always trying to steal stuff. I have to chase them off. I've got a cat, Molly, but she doesn't really chase the birds. John says teaching's easier now than when he started 30 years ago. Well, yeah, I guess experience probably would make it easier for sure, yeah. As we get better at these things. Thank you, Anne. I'm glad you like the Lennox painting. Miriam says, I paint the edges after I finish the painting and I extend the colours of the painting over the edges. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do as well. Looks like it wraps around. Yes. What is the focal point in the picture behind you? This one, the focal point is, this is a series I'm doing about riverbanks and erosion and the roots. So I haven't actually finished this painting yet, but the focal point will be in here, and I'm going to pull out the roots of these trees and so on, and that's what the focal point will be there. Okay? All right, thanks Rosalie, good to see you. Enjoy your weekend. And we are pretty much going to wrap up here unless anyone's got any further pressing questions. Now would be a good time to ask them. If you have any further questions. Otherwise, forever hold your peace. I'm going to, after this today, I'm going to film the next episode of Learn to Paint TV. So that'll be out on Monday. Look out for that. And in about 2 weeks' time, we're going to be releasing a new course, which is one that Miriam and I have been working on together, which is Romantic Figures in the Landscape. So look out for that. And Miriam's done a demonstration for that, and I'm going to be doing a demonstration and a little bit of an explanation as well. And it's going to be an exciting course, Romantic Figures in the Landscape. And if we're lucky, then Miriam will do another couple of courses later on as well, along the similar lines. So look out for that. I'd say probably realistically middle of November before that course is ready to be released. But Miriam's done a great job with her demo. I've just got to film mine, add a few other things, and then that'll be ready for release. So exciting times. And it's great to have Miriam contributing her knowledge and experience. So awesome. Thanks, Darlene. Mitty, good learning. Good on you, Mitty. Thanks for joining us. John, all good from me. Prepare for art school and finish up my waterfall piece. Good on you, John. Lee Alks has asked, do you allow students to sell their workshop paintings? So Lee, here's the thing. If it's on Learn to Paint Academy and or Learn to Paint TV, then and you're a student of those, then yes, you can do any of our projects and sell the paintings, right? If it's on my Rodmore Art website or my Rodmore Art Facebook page or Instagram, and it's not part of Learn to Paint Academy, then no, absolutely not. So it just depends on where you see it. But if you are a student of the Learn to Paint Academy and it's a project in there, then by all means, lots and lots of our students have sold their work. And quite a few have even won awards in their local art show from projects from the Learn to Paint Academy. So yes, absolutely. And thanks, have a good weekend. Love the idea of romantic figures. Yeah, me too. It's always been a favourite subject of mine. And Miriam's obviously very, very good at it. Good on you, Carol. Yes, I'm looking forward to it as well. I just need to get my end of the bargain moving along. Good on you, Colin. Enjoy your weekend too, mate. Happy painting. My pleasure, Carolyn. What is it, Carolyn or Carol? Let me scroll back. I can't remember. Carolyn. My pleasure, Carolyn. I hope I've been able to help you today. Mr. Warthog is saying, to not infringe upon anyone's copyright, I always use multiple images to create paintings. I hate to use a single photograph to paint from. You know, that's probably not a bad principle to use, I think. When I was a very naive, young and enthusiastic artist, 10 years ago, I did use a reference material out of a magazine, and I thought I'd changed it enough and made it my own, and it went into the local art gallery shop, and I had no idea about any of that side of things back then, but you learn from experience, and it caused a little bit of a kerfuffle within the gallery because somebody said I directly copied it. I didn't think I directly copied it, I used it as inspiration, but that taught me a very valuable lesson, is that always go and get your own reference material. So if you want to become if you're just a hobby artist and you want to sell a painting here and there, then just do all the projects from the Learn to Paint Academy and sell them, right? But if you want to become an artist who develops a part-time income or goes on and builds a career as an artist and builds a business and a full-time income, you have to go out and develop your own reference material. This is what professional artists do, right? So whether you create studies and demos for yourself or you collect photo material, if you're going to be a working artist who generates a consistent and reliable income, part of the business of being an artist is that you generate and create your own reference material, right? Because that's what helps you get a unique voice as well. You'll never build a solid career out of trying to sell work that you've got the material from other artists, because as good as the Learn to Paint Academy is, and it happens to be great, But all the photos that I take are photos that I love, right? And so this is my voice, you know, so just be mindful of that. So if you just want to sell the occasional one, then come and do our projects and sell that, and you can sell those. But if you're serious about your career, then create your own reference material. And I think Mr. Warthog 213 has got a pretty, you know, valid point there. So thank you for that. Thank you, Jimmy Rogers. Thank you, Karen Roberts. Gladys, my pleasure as always. Nice to see you. Thank you, Miriam. Nice talking to you, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, Gabrielle. Getting close now. Noosa extravaganza coming right up. Looking forward to our plein air painting workshop. Thanks, Lee. Good to see you, Lee. Hope you're doing well. Morning, Tamika. We're just winding up. You must be on the wrong time plan, Tamika. We start at 9 a.m. Brisbane time, which is obviously different in Sydney and New South Wales and Victoria. But glad that you could join us. But we are now finishing up, and I've got work to do, projects to film, and paintings to get done. So I shall talk to you all soon, and enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your weekend. Alrighty, cheers for now.